You hear it all the time, right? If a country is struggling with debt or people are in poverty, why not just fire up the printing presses and make more money? I mean, it seems like the easiest fix in the world. But as we're about to find out, that so-called easy fix can unleash absolute economic chaos. So that's the big question, isn't it? It just feels so logical. If you don't have enough money, just make more. But to really understand the massive flaw in that thinking, we have to take a step back and ask an even more fundamental question. Where do prices even come from in the first place? You see, prices aren't just random numbers that someone in an office decides on. The economy has this amazing kind of organic system for figuring out what anything is worth. You can think of it like a giant, invisible price discovery machine. And right now, we're going to pop the hood and see how it works. Okay, so at the very heart of this machine is a concept called the equilibrium price. The easiest way to think about it is as a perfect balance point. It's that magic price where the number of widgets for sale is exactly the same as the number of people who want to buy a widget. And the most important part, no one person sets this price. The market. It just finds it, all on its own. So how does it find that sweet spot? Well, it gets signals. For instance, if a price is way too high, you get what's called a surplus. Shelves are packed with stuff that nobody is buying. That's a huge flashing signal for sellers to lower their prices. On the flip side, if the price is too low, you get a shortage. Things are flying off the shelves, selling out instantly. That tells sellers, hey, you could probably be charging more for this. So the really critical takeaway here is that the final price of something is discovered. It's not dictated. It just emerges from millions of individual buyers and sellers all looking out for their own interests, creating this constant push and pull until that balance is found. There's no secret committee deciding that a gallon of milk should cost what it does. All right, so now that we get how prices are supposed to work, let's throw a wrench in the gears. Let's see what happens when a government tries to cheat the system by just pumping a flood of new cash into it. And this is where we meet the big villain of our story, inflation. At its core, inflation is really just this: too much money chasing too few goods. So when the amount of cash floating around in the economy grows way faster than the amount of actual stuff you can buy, cars, food, houses, then the value of every single dollar you have goes down. Your money just doesn't stretch as far anymore. Let's make this super simple with a little analogy. Imagine a tiny economy. There are 5 people, 5 loaves of fresh bread, and a grand total of $25 in the whole system. That means each person has $5, which, hey, is exactly the price of 1 loaf. Everything's in perfect harmony. But then the government decides it wants to help out, so it fires up the printing press and doubles everyone's money. Suddenly, every person has $10 instead of 5. On paper, they're all richer, right? Well, here's the catch. Everybody might have $10, but there are still only 5 loaves of bread. The baker isn't an idiot. They look around, see that all their customers now have twice as much money, and do the logical thing. They double the price of bread to $10 a loaf. And this is the absolute key to everything. Did printing all that money actually make anyone richer? Nope, not one bit. Their purchasing power is exactly what it was before. They can still only afford to buy 1 loaf of bread. The only thing that changed was the number on the price tag. Printing money didn't create more value, it just made the money itself worth less. Now, this whole bread thing isn't just some abstract thought experiment. This has happened. Several countries have tried this easy fix in the real world, and the result is a nightmare scenario called hyperinflation. It's when money becomes so worthless, so fast, that it's practically useless. We're going to look at 3 really stark examples from history. We've got Germany right after World War I, Zimbabwe in the late 2000s, and more recently, Venezuela. The stories are all a bit different, but the painful lesson is exactly the same. Just try to wrap your head around that for a second. A loaf of bread, it goes from 250 marks to 200 billion marks in less than a year. People were literally taking wheelbarrows overflowing with cash to the store just to buy basic groceries. Your entire life savings could become worthless in a matter of weeks. And if you think that number was insane, hold on. In 2008, Zimbabwe's hyperinflation hit a peak yearly rate of 89.7 sextillion%. Honestly, that number is so gigantic it doesn't even mean anything. Prices were literally doubling every single day. Eventually, they just had to give up and abandon their own currency entirely. So you can see, while the specific triggers were different, Germany had massive war debts, Zimbabwe had terrible economic mismanagement, Venezuela had an oil crisis and corruption, the root of the problem was identical. In a moment of desperation, they all made the same fatal mistake. They tried to print their way out of their problems without creating any real economic value to back it up.
So, okay, if just printing money is a complete disaster waiting to happen, what's the actual answer? How does a country get genuinely richer and not just create an illusion of wealth?
While the real answer is simple to say, but it's not easy to do, a country has to create more value. Real wealth, the kind that lasts, comes from producing more things and offering more services. It means investing in education so your workforce is skilled. It means building better roads and internet so goods and ideas can move around. It means encouraging new businesses and new ideas to flourish. It's about hard work and smart choices, not just turning on a machine. A truly productive economy is the only thing that gives money its value.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to this really simple truth. Money is just a tool. It's a claim on things that have actual real-world value. I mean, what's the point of being a billionaire if there's only one loaf of bread left in the whole country? A billion-dollar bill is just a piece of paper if there's nothing to buy with it. You can't eat money.
Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. What is the actual difference between a random piece of paper and a dollar bill? It's not the fancy ink or the design. It's trust. It's the shared belief and trust in the entire productive economy that stands behind that piece of paper, and the faith that tomorrow it will still represent something of real, tangible value.